7:02 p.m. Thank you for coming. Our first order of business is to tell you that we did not have closed session. And so the primary business now is the Pledge of Allegiance and roll call. Let's do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call will show that Phil Felice is here by Zoom. 3 trustees, Fiona, Debbie, and I are here in person, and Sanjay has a conflict, and he may or may not Zoom towards the end of the meeting, but for the moment we have the 4. Okay, so the first item is the approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve the agenda? I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay, Phil, any comment?
No,
Okay, Ava? All right, 4, all those in favor say aye.
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 So that's 4-0 plus Ava. Okay, now we will have, we are ignoring 8 also because we did not have closed session. So we're on to 9.1, exciting. We have an MVLA spotlight, which we love to do, and it's Renee Zimmerman from the El Camino YMCA. Dr. Meyer, will you take it away?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Each month we look to our community to recognize someone who has contributed greatly and has been a great partner to MVLA High School District. And so this month we are recognizing Renee Zimmerman, and Renee is here in the front. Renee brings 32 years of nonprofit experience to her current position, where she is the Senior Executive Director of the El Camino YMCA. She was a great support for our district during the pandemic and before. And some of the programs that we share with YMCA include, they have been partners with physical education for Alta Vista Continuation High School. And they've also developed a very strong arm of youth engagement, which we're continuing to work on as part of their strategic plan. The YMCA has provided for our community, which includes our families, a focus on health and well-being, and we're excited to see how that partnership will grow. Within this, we celebrate Renee Zimmerman as a representative of the YMCA tonight, and she has her Bachelor's of Arts from San Francisco State University, and I usually do this with the people we hire, but I found this so interesting. She also has a master's from the London School of Economics, so I think that's just a great partnership of nonprofit and economics, seeing the business side as well as the social emotional side. So with that, I'd like to welcome Renee to come up to say a few words, and congratulations on the spotlight.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Superintendent and trustees. I just wanted to first acknowledge that just in the short time that I've known Dr. Meyer, what I've noticed out and about in the community is that she is so great about kind of acknowledging and bringing to light partners, regardless of how big or small the collaboration may be. She just notices the individuals, the businesses, the government entities, and the community organizations such as the Y, and really does a great job, I think, of acknowledging them. So thank you for that. Sometimes too, with the Y, we are a little bit larger organization, and we have such a myriad of different programs and services that it can kind of get lost sometimes, or you might not be aware of all the things that we do. So getting the Spark Award is certainly really a great acknowledgement, and I'll be sure to brag about it back to our members and our staff as well. just wanted to kind of, over the years, as you mentioned, we do partner in a lot of ways with the school district, and it's really depends on the need. It's not like we come in and say, here we have all this and you guys, should partner with us. It's kind of listening, reaching out, hearing what might be a need, and then trying to work together to fill it. So in addition to some of the work we've done in the past that we're very proud about, I just wanted to acknowledge some of the work we've done in recent years that is really cool as well. So notably, we've worked with the AVID program. I think you're going to hear a little bit later about that. And that's been a really nice partnership where we've kind of had a suite of different things that we've done together. We've been able to offer a college tour. Pre-COVID, it was an overnight tour, and it allowed students that were wanting to go to college but might not have the opportunity to go on that traditional tour that's outside of a day's drive away. So we would go all the way down the coast, down to LA, and that has been a great thing. And then we did it this past year during COVID, but did some more extended day trips. We've done mock interviews with AVID, and that was an amazing collaboration during COVID when everything was done virtually, and we pulled together board members from the Y and our Rotary Club and helped support the students in that way. And then we've come on board more recently in the last few years with the internship program. So actually having students come into the Y, find out kind of what they like, and we have something for everybody down there. So if there's somebody that's interested in aquatics or sports or marketing or fundraising, we've been able to put together some really cool programs for them over the winter break. Another thing that we do, our way that we partner with the district, is through the special ed's post-senior program. So as Dr. Meyer mentioned, and we've just started it back up since COVID, students come over with their instructors to the Y, and they actually get to exercise, and it's really nice, and I'm really glad we've been able to restart that again. And lastly, I'll just kind of say my favorite way that we work with the high school district is in a more organic way. We are one of the largest employers of young people. So over half of our staff were born after 1995, which is hard to imagine. That's when my daughter was born. But there's even a greater number that are actually in high school. And it's not that, gosh, we get all these students to come and work for us. Is that we get to really coach, mentor, support them. We're flexible. We understand if they've had a rough day and they just can't make a shift. We were flexible if they need to cut back on their hours, and by hours I mean working 8 hours a week if they need to reduce that. So we do things like support them when they're going through the hiring process and really trying to help them understand how to do all of that. If their parents are calling on their behalf, we gently kind of push back and say, we need your son to call us in. And gosh, by the time they've made it all the way up to graduation, we've had this great 4-year relationship, and some of them continue on with us if they're going to local community colleges. So it's an amazing partnership. I hope it continues. And again, the sky's the limit with what we can do with you guys. So thank you very much for this award.
Thank you. We're going to take a
want to say real quickly on that. I think that my family has been involved in everything that you said, and I just want to personally thank you. From the tours on the YMCA buses, all 3 of my kids did that. I have friends that were in the special ed program and the internship and lifeguards, and the Y has just been a really big part of our family. So on a personal note, thank you so much.
Thank you. I was a charter member of that Y. I was out of town and I made my in-laws, who are babysitting my son, go and do it for me. And I have the bag, the charter member duffel bag or whatever, so, yeah. Great operation for that many, quite a few years, yes. Thank you so much. Right, next we, by the way, let the record show that both Ava and Sadie are here. Board member reports. Nothing, nothing. Bill, nothing.
No,
I have nothing either, so we are done with 10. We'll now move on to 11. Student board members reports. Sadie, would you like to go first this time?
Thank you. So new things that have happened at Los Altos and Area on September 26th, 27th, and 29th, the juniors will be having a challenge day. It's usually something that we do with underclassmen, but with COVID, we had to delay it a few years. We're all really excited about doing this. As far as something that is doing, it's really figure out the homecoming planning. The theme this year is going to be a nightmare at LHS and the time on Halloween spirit. And we're very, very excited to all the activities that come with that. We've also changed how ASP does lunch activities and giving them fewer times per month. We're trying to make them a bigger deal, try to incentivize students to stay on campus instead of going on for lunch. On Wednesday, we're going to have the college fairs. Over 50 colleges have signed up, and leaders of students both in the classes and NHS are volunteering to help. We're really excited about that because it'll help out our classmates that they feel where they want to go to college, or seniors that help finalize those that they have to apply to. And it just opens up our entire campus to what a lot of people are high school. On the 15th, tomorrow we're going to have a meeting for resident parents, especially those who speak Spanish, and help them navigate the beginning of the school year, help them get signed up for everything they need, and help them learn more about the school. In addition to that, we're going to have this teaching group, an outside group that helps Spanish speakers families navigate high school, and get signed up for SAT, AP tests, all of the things that getting signed up for school. And on September 20th, and September 1st, we're going to start getting
Any questions for Sadie? Thank you.
no question, but could I remind people to make sure that their mic is on when they're speaking? I'm not sure I heard all of that.
Sadie, I have a question, and that is in terms of lunch, and I'll ask Ava the same question. What percentage do you see? I mean, we know the statistics in terms of how many lunches are being served, but what do you see in terms of percentage more students you think are on campus now than you saw like pre-COVID?
I wasn't here pre-COVID.
Oh, you weren't. Okay.
But I've heard from a lot of people that a lot of people left, and then as we started going back the spring of 2021, more people started staying just because they were on campus for less amount of days, so it made their time more like central. But now we're kind of getting into like more pre-COVID trends.
Okay. Right, Ava, would you like to give your report?
Yeah, of course. So at Mountain View, not last week, but the week before that, we had our back to school blast off to celebrate the first football game. And ASB hosted this. We had an inflatable obstacle course, we had pizza and shaved ice, and we had pieing a staff member in the face, which our principal participated in. And it was a great turnout. We had all class levels come, and it was great. The spirit and energy was great, even though we lost the football game, but the before part was really fun. ASB is also planning our first Stanford blood drive of the year, and that's going to be on September 23rd. So we're working on that right now, encouraging people to sign up. Then we also had our clubs arena the week before last week. We had 2 full days of clubs coming out, and I think we had about 150 clubs come out. So it was really great. Clubs like Biology Club, Clinical Care for the Underserved, Theater Club, and just helping all our upper and underclassmen find a place on campus. Our school newspaper, The Oracle, also published their first paper edition and handed that out last Friday of the year, first paper edition of the year. We had our first Spartan Pause, so a fun Friday with animals, on-site therapists, bubbles, and just everyone having a great time de-stressing. We have also had other first sports games start, like boys and girls water polo, girls golf, and girls volleyball. For our seniors, the college process is definitely picking up. We've had college visits in our library. I've attended a couple, they've been really great. And And we also have, well, some of our students might be attending the Los Altos College Fair tomorrow. Wednesday. And lastly, we have chosen a homecoming theme for this year, and it will be Hollywood.
A lot of fun. Any questions, Brava? What, excuse me, do you feel about the amount of students on campus for lunch compared to other years? If you remember back that far, because of COVID in the middle.
Yeah, definitely more. Definitely more
Mhm.
students, especially in like the main area getting lunch.
Mhm.
I would say there's definitely been an increase.
That was certainly serving a lot more of them.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Ava? No? Thank you for your reports. Now we have a thrilling one. We love the students of the month. And I'll let Sadie go first this time and present her student of the month.
Great, so do I just talk about my written statement here?
Well, and could we have your student come up? Alex?
How?
Yeah. So you both come up. Okay. This is your first one, isn't it,
It
Sadie?
is. I'm a little nervous. Can I start? Okay,
Please go.
perfect. Los Altos High School is proud to recognize Alex Chang as our September Student of the Month. It is a privilege to recognize all his accomplishments throughout his time at Los Altos High School. Alex has been very involved with the school's robotics team, Eagle Strike, for 3 years. As the co-captain, he leads a team of more than 70 members, competing in tournaments and creating a 125-pound robot from scratch in just a few months. He manages scheduling, curriculum, teaching new students, and communications between departments, and outreach to help his team. Last year, Eagle Strike won the Arizona North Regional competition and made it to the semifinals of our division at the World Championship, making the top 100 teams out of over 300. Alex likes working, 3,000, I'm so sorry. Alex likes working and leading the CNC, the Computer Numerical Control Machine, manual matching, codes, scouting, strategy, and assembly. Alex takes advantages of all academic opportunities offered at Foothill classes as well. To continue to nurture his passion for computer science, he is taking classes at Foothill College and is currently taking C++, which I'm told is very, very complicated. He is also passionate about learning new languages. He is a member of the French National Honor Society and loves studying foreign language in and out of school. On the athletic side of things, Alex has been an athlete on the track and field team since his freshman year, competing in the long jump, 100-meter hurdle, 300-meter hurdle, and relays. Last year, he received the Eagle Award for being a helpful and good teammate, and continues to be an outstanding teammate, both in sportsmanship and athletic performance. He has made it to the Santa Clara Valley Athletics League finals twice, and as an upperclassman, he teaches and supports the underclassmen in his hurdles. Off the field, he practices Taekwondo, as he has done since kindergarten. In his 12 years, he has earned a 4th-degree black belt and is currently practicing with the renowned M team to continue his work. Congratulations, Alex Chang, for receiving the September Student of the Month and for all of your amazing success and dedication to give back to your community and school. We can't wait to see all of the amazing accomplishments coming your way in the near future.
Alex, would you like to say a few words? No?
I didn't really know if I was speaking today, so I don't really have.
Okay,
anything
well,
to say.
then what we have is maybe some questions for you.
Sure.
Do you have any?
I think it's too early for this. You don't have the robotics challenge for this year yet, right? You
Not
don't,
this
you
year,
don't,
that's in January.
pardon, right?
That's
Not,
in January.
not
yeah.
till January. Okay, that's, go ahead.
And a follow on that. So you said that you were part of the part that does the computer Are you part of the whole, how to manipulate the robot? Is that what you do?
The CNC is to cut the parts to make the robot.
Oh, okay.
But I do code the robot so that the drivers can drive.
And what language is that in?
C++.
Yeah, okay. So that's what you're taking at Foothill,
Yeah.
right? All right. And you really like all that pointer stuff, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite.
Yeah.
I took it. I really don't like the pointers. So that's what I was saying. It's
They're
really
handy,
good
but
if
they're
you can understand
complicated.
that. Okay.
You do know that both Debbie and I have degrees in computer
Yeah,
science at one level or another. So
I don't know.
yeah,
I
we're
think- I
we're
think it
on
might be
board with
better
you.
anyway.
Anyway, so Phil, do you have any questions out there?
No, that was a quite impressive list of accomplishments.
So which way are you leaning towards college?
Probably mechanical engineering. Major.
Okay. Cool. All right. It's photo opportunity again. Mine is a little here. We know that this is a family award, so is there anyone in the audience who would like to come up to be in the photo as well? All right.
Thank you. Great.
Thank you. We have Mountain View and we have Ava presenting Michael.
Mountain View High School is proud to recognize Michael Earl as our September 2022 Student of the Month. Michael is a current senior at MVHS who cares about technology and lending a helping hand where he can on campus. This summer, he was a student worker for the district's IT department. Within this job, he assisted with preparing classrooms for upcoming teachers, doing asset management of district devices, and counting textbooks for MVHS students. Michael also cares about studying and improving educational practices and teaching methods, which has led him into his role as both a teacher at his church's early morning religion classes and a teacher's assistant to one of our MVHS math teachers. Michael's favorite class ever was AP European History. This year, the classes he is enjoying the most are AP Spanish Literature and Physics. He is most passionate about math and languages, especially Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian. Michael's teachers describe him as a student with a passion for education in and out of the classroom. He is a leader, an active classroom participant, and an effective collaborator and peer tutor. He is friendly to all, as well as mature and resourceful. His teachers highlight Michael's hunger for lifelong learning and praise him as a tremendous asset to MVHS as a student volunteer. Outside of school, Michael spends his time on musical endeavors like the piano and organ. He also enjoys learning about math, education, and pedagogy. One of his hobbies is reading the mandated reports for MVLA, which include SPSA, the Single Plan for Student Achievement, LCAP, the Local Control and Accountability Plan, and portions of the district budget. Looking forward, Michael hopes to major in physics in college and work at a technology-related company at first, then teach high school math, preferably AP Calculus BC, and finally become an assistant principal. Congratulations, Michael.
Do we have
Thank you.
questions for Michael?
I just want to say thank you for the IT help over the summer. We're always a little shorthanded and we're happy to have experts and very grateful. There's an unending amount of work to do in that realm. So
Thank you. And I want to add that I think you're probably the only student at Mountain View High School that maybe reads our documents. They are
Maybe
enjoyable.
I
I'm actually thinking maybe you want to be a trustee when you're run when you're 18, right?
Yeah.
Very, very
Yes,
good.
and one clarification, I'm an attendee of the early morning class. I do teach though at times, but that's on a different occasion. And MVLA, I quite liked working here.
It's great.
As the campus is very familiar. It's lots of, every day I was going by classrooms and thinking, I've met that teacher before, I've met that person, or I had a class in the store.
That's
Great.
wonderful. I think it's really great that we bring back students, your current student to even participate. And I do appreciate that you are an oversight on our documents.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I have to echo that I could see you being a school board member in the future. Does Phil have any questions?
Yeah, I just had one question about your aspiration to be an assistant principal. What motivate you to that particular goal?
That particular goal is motivated by my thoughts are in the principal role and higher. There's a lot of duties that don't sound as necessary. They're necessary. They're necessary. No, but they're necessary roles but those don't at my current stage in life don't sound as they need some adjustment. You need to work into that. And assistant principals, from what I say, they work very closely with teachers, not that other roles don't, but teacher support is something I think it sounds rather nice. The other roles are quite important, but I don't aspire to them because you do need to work through the hierarchy in education.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations. You also have memory here. Would they please come up also?
I'd also like to add that Michael is also an Eagle Scout. He got his when he was 15 years old.
Wow.
Very self-driven.
Very proud.
Getting my.
Thank you.
I know
Yeah.
he just left, but I do want to say that we do receive correspondence from Michael within all of our departments, and we do read it and pay attention, and it is nice to have that extra set of eyes from the student's perspective.
Great. All right, Dr. Meyer, we're moving on to 13, which is superintendent's report.
All right, thank you. All right, so to start out, one thing that we're doing, what I really love, is to see all of the beautiful photos, and actually all four of our campus sites have really taken some fantastic pictures. And I think about it as from the perspective, my most recent perspective of a parent. And it's really nice to get some insight into what activities are going on during the day. So here, in order to start, you can see some nice pictures from the Link crew welcoming students. And as we continue to focus, we're allocating and making decisions all based on academic excellence, equity, and engagement. So we're really saying this as a broken record, but these are the three areas of focus, and our two high school campuses have this within their WASC, and our continuation school has it, as well as our adult education campus. So you mentioned back to school night, and you can see here the excitement from all of our campuses here represented. And we'll see more about Alta Vista and Mountain View, as well as Los Altos. And the back to school night included all of the club tables and signups. And it really felt vibrant, and it felt like it's so energized. So it was wonderful to visit all of the welcome back events. And as mentioned as well, we are back in action for athletics. And it really took, I think, a couple of years without it to really appreciate being back. So as Ava mentioned, it really wasn't whether we won or lost. It really was being together as a community and enjoying the athletic spirit of our teams. And I encourage everyone to go see a game. We have all sorts of sports going on right now. And I did also just want to point out, you can see in these pictures, the volleyball. And so we talk a lot about football. We talk about maybe a little bit less about volleyball, but we're definitely looking to at all of our teams this fall season. One other thing that we've been working on, and thank you to the board members who participated, we are continuing with our Courageous Conversations steering committee. And this has been an important group where we've talked about equity, and we've looked at really looking at barriers to student success. And some of those barriers include implicit and explicit bias. And so as part of this, is it our third, Terry, or third year of going through and having these discussions, and we're really looking forward to bringing the next few in, having them in person, because this is such an important conversation. We're looking forward to having it. We've been working on Zoom. Looking at adult ed starts a few days later, and you can see here the team is very excited to be back, and they're smiling and ready to go. Most of their classes are at night, but some are during the day, where we'll see certainly our health pathways, computer science, English learner classes, as we've spoken about here, our CTE pathway for optometry. And so we're very excited about continuing that idea and pathways that end at strong careers. So you can see the pictures here of adult ed. And then as well, Los Altos, we've been enjoying our visits, and you can see on the upright, you can see 3 engaged people who are looking at some of the things going on in a science class, and just all of the labs and the teachers, with their strong relationships with the students. And you can see they're not just sitting in their desks, they're engaged, they have manipulatives, and very much enjoying the campus and being, the classroom. And then also you can see here some outside of the classroom activities at Los Altos, and Jenga and other things going on during lunchtime. And the question came up about who stays for lunch. Well, a lot more students stay for lunch at all of our campuses, because there's so many activities going on, whether it's soccer, you can find ping pong, you can see all sorts of fun things happening, and students sitting and enjoying each other's company. Mountain View High School, also similar. And here I believe we have in the middle the senior sunrise, and a wonderful tradition, a very early tradition, early in the morning, and just the fun that's happening as they saw the sunrise, and really kind of recognize each week, each month has senior activities that will be their last activity of their high school career. So we just know that this group of our seniors at both of our campuses they've been through a lot, but it's really bonded them. So it's a great group. And here are some other, I love the picture in the upper right. I mean, it's kind of the wall of humanity, if you will. And then in the bottom, in the middle, the Spartan's pause, which is an opportunity to calm down, take a deep breath, and really take care of yourself. And often you'll see up to about 20 dogs that you can go and pet, and they're just good for the soul. And some other activities on the right and the left, and students having fun. The left in the upper box here, ice cream at both campuses for freshmen to welcome them. And so just a great tradition. And then there, freestyle. I love this. I don't think I need to say much. I think a picture's worth 1,000 words. A creative group of students who present things in a different way and stretch our thinking, and just a great campus. And I love these photos. And we're excited about having Freestyle's building get closer and closer to being completed each day, right out our window. But our Freestyle Academy is definitely going strong. And then Alta Vista as well. On the right, Ms. Woolfolk sent me a picture of our honor grads who have met the first quarter with great GPA. And here are 12 of the 14 who were recognized and celebrated on campus. And you can also see, you can get a feel for Alta Vista continuation by looking and seeing, it has a park-like atmosphere and a lot of trust and belief in each other from the students and the staff. And then more pictures of Alta Vista inside the campus. On the left is their activity class. They've really beefed this up in the last few years. And now that we have Ms. Woolfolk with that activities experience in her repertoire, they're planning a lot of fun things, additional things. And you can see here other pictures of our students at Alta Vista. Something to note, our speaker series is happening tomorrow night, and it will be our last speaker series on Zoom. And so we're excited that we're able to have Zoom because it allows us to bring people from the other parts of the United States who can Zoom in and share. But we're also excited to be in person at the following speaker series. This particular one is timely and important for everyone to listen in on: how to apply to college while keeping perspective. And so this will be one that tomorrow night that will be recorded. So if people want to go back and listen, but please share with friends and family. And we look forward to Becky Sabke, who will be speaking to us tomorrow night. And then on to, and that of course is supported by our foundations and PTSAs. And our foundation also supported both of our welcome back coffees for our freshman parents. So we've had a series of welcome backs and different events, but both of these you can see here, Kip Glazier on the left and Wynn in the middle. And we have Margaret Gong and Christine Bardman, our executive directors of the foundation, having the welcome coffee. And you can't really tell in this photo, but we had excellent attendance. And I always tease because the front seats are like the seats in the classroom. They're usually the last to fill, but we did have people standing and listening, and it was a wonderful presentation. Both principals and their teams did a great job of fielding questions, and a lot of the questions were about PE for ninth graders, some questions about lunch, some questions about COVID precautions, but it was nice to have the questions kind of sound like they did in 2019. And just, I can't tell you what a great job they did at presenting and speaking directly to the ninth grade parents. And then something that we are doing a little differently this year, we have Nina Spira-Stava, who's a senior at Mountain View, and Anya Matthias, who's a junior at Los Altos, and they are our new student photographers. And I mentioned it a little bit over to Nina when she was here. Their photos are just wonderful, and they're sharing them on social media and multiple platforms, and they're very talented. They have great eyes. And Nina, she is responsible for photos from Mountain View High School, Alta Vista Continuation School, and Freestyle. And then Anya is responsible for photos at Los Altos High School, Middle College, and Adult Education. And so they've split up their beats. And then I think they take turns with board meetings. And so we'll see how, is that my signal to end? We're very excited, and they've already just hit the ground running, and the photos, please look at them on social media. They're beautiful. And that concludes my superintendent report. Thank you.
Great. Board, do we have any questions for the superintendent on her report? Bill? Move on to communications. At this point, our labor partners, the DTA and the CSEA could speak if they were so inclined. Is anyone here to speak on their behalf? No? So we'll move on past that to public comment. This is the public comment on items not on the agenda. And we'll have a maximum of 3 minutes if anyone is going to speak. And we have forms in the back, which I see you have, and Debbie will take them from you. And we will have the presentations. Welcome.
Hi, good evening. My name is Iracema Gurbiel, or Semi, that's how I'm known most. And the reason why I'm here is because we would like to present our gratefulness to the Board of Trustees for some of the petitions that we made last year. And we would just like to tell them how grateful we are. So, dear Mount View Los Altos High School board members, the leadership team of Latino Parent Outreach wish to express our greatest gratitude for all the efforts you have made in response to the petitions presented to you on March 22nd, 2021. We're very pleased with the way some of the requests made are being handled, among them the importance of providing cultural training to teachers. We know that it has not been an easy task, but the effort you have put in it, it's a sign of the interest that you have had in this matter. The decision that ELD students receive their academic instructions in their respective school is of great importance because in this way, students will manage their time more effectively. They will be able to take other subjects that they could not before due to the transportation time that they had to do. They will take more interest in their classes and receive a quality education of these subjects and others. Hiring more psychologists will be of great help to the students. We hope that in this way, the students will have better attention and quality time to help them with their multiple needs. The PICA program has been very, very helpful to many of the parents, but this program could be improved by using better facilitators. We would need more trained facilitators for our leadership programs. And in December of last year, we took some leadership courses with Mrs. Nadia Mora. She helped us a lot, and we would like to have more of these workshops. The tutoring system you have created for 9th and 10th grade for mentors, fellow scholars, and ambassadors will be incredibly supportive for these grades, but it would be nice to extend it to the 11th and 12th grade. Mentors will be of significant help, but we would like to know specifically what actions would be taken to help the incoming students. A joint and personal effort action plan would be ideal. We believe that timely support is essential, but it is vitally important to involve parents from an initial family meeting until the goal of this system is achieved. Also, the math seminar organized by MVLA. You want me to stop?
No, and you can keep going, please.
Also, the math seminar organized by the MVLA that is being offered to incoming students is very valuable for the students. But we must also take into consideration that not all the kids learn in the same way. That is why we must teach students in different modalities so that students can understand it. Perhaps we should use characters from television programs that they like, or you use easier tactics to understand the subject, especially with special education students. Knowing the different ways of teaching mathematics would motivate students and parents to be on the path to success in preparing for college entrance. Educating students as well as parents about all the options, opportunities, and support of that school offers is imperative to students' academics. Both Mountain View and Los Altos High School, we would like the MVLA district to support parents who have children in middle schools to ask their schools that children be better prepared in this grade so that when they enter high school, are at the level they should be. As we have mentioned above, we are extremely grateful for all the great work you have done. Likewise, we would like you to keep in mind the other points that we presented in the letter of March 22nd, 2021, which are extremely important to us. And it is our goal that these items will be taken into consideration for the coming school year of 2022 to 2023. Provide a map of all the options of educational programs that exist in the school and their requirements so that our Latino students can be part of it if they are eligible, especially for new students, 9th grade. Bringing Latino speakers to our school to motivate our students on how to be successful in thinking about their future. In this petition, we would like to see more efforts made to bring in more speakers, especially for the 11th and the 12th graders, so that students who are seeking to enter the university have a better idea and motivation of the career they would like to do. Give the material to teachers both as a school and as district in Spanish if the family requested. Include opportunities for sports where lack of experience is not a handicap for our students. We would like young people without previous experience to be given the same opportunity to enter a sport of their choice, facilitating the recruitment process. Incorporate motivational talks in Spanish to empower parents and thus increase their presence and participation in the different activities of their students and make them feel an integral part of the MVHS. Connect with local companies like Google, Facebook, etc., to create a program where all our Latino students in their final year can give volunteer work or social service experience. We would like to accelerate this process of the topics so that students in the process of graduating have some experience in a trade or in this way, and in this way, they can have a clear idea of what they would like to do in life, and in this way have a clearer idea about the career they would like to choose. Create summer scholarship programs at different universities where Latino students can explore other ideas, other areas of study, such as engineering and biology. Once again, we would like to thank, we thank you very much for all the work you have done, and we hope to be able to work together on the other points that are still missing. Thank you so much, and good night.
Thank you so much,
Doctor. You
Simi.
have done
Simi, do you have a copy that you could email us?
yes, I do.
Please do.
I will do that.
Because we would like to, have it in front of us when we're thinking about it.
Sure. Okay, I will do that. And thank you, Doctor. You have
Thank you so much.
worked so hard on all of this. And Terry, you too. Thank you.
Can I just add, Simi, can I add a thank you for your leadership on all of this? You've been a leader in our parent organization for so long, and we're so grateful for your voice.
Okay, is there any other individual that would like to speak on non-agendized items? Seeing none, we'll move on to the consolidated motion. I also want to point out that the items on the not on the agenda, we accept the input, but we do not act on them at this time because they're not on the agenda. Just to remind you. All right, consolidated motion. Do I have a motion to approve the consolidated motion?
So moved.
Oh, Phil moves. Do we have a
Second.
second? Is there any discussion? No. Hearing none. Sadie, What do you think?
I approve.
Okay, Abba? Okay, board, all those in favor, aye? Aye. Okay, that's 4 ayes and 0 noes, and both student members. Okay, so now we are moving down to 19, which we're not doing because we didn't have closed session. So oh, sorry. Oh, my gosh. We forgot the meat of the matter, didn't we? All right. Went too fast. Presentation of the Avid Peak programs, 18.1. And so we have Terry Bott that will take it over from here.
I know. Well, good evening, and it is my pleasure to present the presentation of our Avid Peak program. Avid Peak enhances Avid's core curriculum classroom and academics by allowing and providing students to explore connections and information about multiple pathways of college and career. And as Simi communicated, the needs of mentors and field trips and connection to industry like Google and LinkedIn, that is exactly what Lynette does for Avid, but also our supervised study classes and has extended into our EL classes. And so her outreach is growing, and it is hitting the communication that our Latino outreach parent has communicated to us. So with that, I would like to introduce Dr. Lynette Gilson. She is our Avid Peak coordinator, and she is going to share with you more about our Peak program. So welcome, Dr. Gilson.
Thank you. Good evening, Board of Trustees and staff and community members. Thank you for having me to talk about PEAK. PEAK stands for Pathways, Exposure, Academic Connection, Knowledge, and hopefully by the end of my presentation, you'll understand why. We serve students in Avid from grades 9 through 12 at both our Los Altos and Mountain View high schools. And I'm happy to be here. I don't know, I haven't used this before. Ah, good. Okay. So something a lot of people don't know about PEAK is that we're an innovative MVLA program, and we're also unique to MVLA. So we're really, really proud of this. Avid's been around since about 1991. PEAK has been around since 2016, 17, and it's only in our district. So I've talked to people in some other districts, and they're pretty excited to hear what we do here. PEAK supplements Avid by providing students with, as Terry said, connections to work and life after high school. So I'm going to talk about this more in depth, but we are trying to give students a taste of what comes next and different perspectives on what they may want to do in the future and how to get there. Just as Avid does, we serve about 400 students, which is about 12% of all students at Los Altos and Mountain View high schools. And we are funded by the MVLA Foundation, and we really appreciate their support and thank them very much. The objective of PEAK is to provide Avid students with exposure to multiple career opportunities, as well as opportunities to learn about the pathways to these careers and how to achieve their academic and career goals. And one of the things we sometimes hope for, sometimes see, is that students will change these goals as they go through our programs, because they come to school having certain expectations, knowing about certain jobs, and hopefully through the PEAK program, they'll learn about many more opportunities. And if something fits better, then they will choose something different to start focusing on, and we could help them explore the pathways to get those new goals. Some students stick to what they started with, and some students do change. Here we have a list of our goals for students, which you could read, but I'm going to just present them a little bit more spontaneously. So you have a student coming to Mountain View, Los Altos in grade 9, entering our Avid program. So when they enter Avid program, as you heard about a few weeks ago, I believe, they commit to taking the A through G requirements, meaning that they'll be able to go to a Cal State or a UC for college. And they're also saying that one of their electives for all 4 years will be the Avid class. So these students are making some pretty big commitments, so that we want them to have pretty big rewards for that, right? So we want them to have a lot of opportunities. As any student does coming into grade 9, they're not always aware of what opportunities are out there for them later. Many students come in thinking, okay, there's doctors, there's lawyers, there's nurses, I could be a mechanic, I could be plumber, those all pay pretty well. But there are so many other things. So when they come into PEAK, starting grade 9, we want to get them out there to see what those other things are. So for example, we'd like them to know that if they are interested in working at a certain company, or like a high-tech company here, Google's very fancy, it's local, it's exciting. But you don't have to be a computer programmer. There's careers like human resources, and there's finance, and there you could even be an editor or copywriter, or you could work in media. There's so many careers. So you could be a part of an organization that interests you, yet not have to be the stereotype of the individual in that organization. Similarly, you could want to work in healthcare, but you don't have to be a doctor or a nurse. The same occupations that were at Google, you could do there. You could be in human resources, you could be in media, you could be in advertising. So we want students to see that. So not only do we take them to see what different careers there are, and so we take them out to organizations to see that, but we also, when we take them out to organizations, we try to show them different types of environments. They usually in their freshman, sophomore year, they get to a total of 4 organizations. So we want them to see formal and informal environments. We want them to see open floor plans and traditional office plans. We want them to see fancy organizations that have entertainment centers and restaurants and free food. And we want to see traditional organizations where you bring your lunch, but you might see art on the wall, and there's a lot of heart and soul there. Not that you can't have a lot of heart and soul in the others too, but you know what I'm saying. So we want them to gain the career awareness to these different organizations and career pathways. Also with Peak, we want them to develop college and career skills, well, to apply those skills that they learn in class. So in class in Avid, they do get help in writing a resume. They learn how to introduce themselves, talk to an interviewer or an employer, and they might make an elevator pitch. And we provide opportunities to apply those skills in a real life setting, which I'll talk a little bit more to in a moment. We also, perhaps most importantly, want every student to know they deserve a place at the table. So we try to make sure there's representation in all we do and who people see. And when we go and visit an organization, and so students can see that, yeah, they have a spot, they belong, and they can get where they want to go. So we want students to see, yes, this is worth it. This is why we're doing all that hard work. So this is our model of Peak post-COVID. I don't have a pre-COVID model because it's pretty similar, except that we've added to it. So before we went to visit company in grade 9 and 10, we had college visits and somewhat in grade 9 through 12. And we try to have some job shadowing internships in grade 11, 12, and we culminated with a practice career fair at grade 11, 12 as well. With Peak, like so many programs, we had to pivot. And we did, I think, pretty successfully. We started to have a lot of Zoom workshops and talks and career panels. We brought people in, they were pretty good. The workshops live over Zoom were good. And one of my favorite things is the practice interviews we started in grade 12. And so those are done over Zoom, and they're pretty, Renee talked about them. They're pretty exciting to see. We'll have perhaps 40 students at once with 40 different professionals from the community on Zoom, and we'll be rotating them in and out of their Zoom rooms, and each student will get an opportunity to do a 15-minute interview and a 30-minute interview. And so they get good experience and good feedback, and usually leaves them feeling really confident and really good. Our career fair is also a spotlight, which I hopefully we'll talk about more later. Another thing we're proud about with Peak, I try not to say proud too much, but we are proud, is that we've started work-based learning right from the inception of the program. So I think Terry presented this slide very recently. This is the spectrum of work-based learning that's presented by our county, and it includes things like guest speakers, career fairs, worksite tours, as you'll see many of the things that we do with Peak and have done. We've also created educational volunteer opportunities with one of our partners, which is something we're proud of that we've added, I'll talk to. And then these are more goals for our future. They're out there. We have a small internship with the YMCA, but we're working on developing those things as part of our long-term goals. Another thing we do to try to present a holistic program to our students is collaborate with current programs in the district. So we have the mentor-tutor connection that we work with, our Avid mentors, and also we've really started working closely with our college and career centers. And then here's a lot of the organizations that we collaborate with. We're really proud of these relationships. These aren't all of them, but it's many of them. And so all of these organizations have some sort of involvement with our students. They might be providing some of the interviews or a company visit. One example would be CSA, Community Services Agency. We just started working with them last year, and already they've had 2 sessions of hosting 6 students each for a full week where students get to go into the organization. They get to see what is done there. They get to do something hands-on. They hear about the careers in the organization, how people got to those careers. And it's a very satisfying experience. When I went to visit at the conclusion, the celebration, some of the students were asking if they could come back. And of course, there are roles where they could, so that was really cool. You heard about the YMCA, things we do with them. and there was even more than what they listed. And El Camino Hospital is one of our old friends. We used to go visit them before the pandemic, and since the pandemic, we've had some wonderful panels from people in the organization. Students served, we do again serve AVID students who are historically restricted, low income, and other first generation college going students. So we do serve, there's a large Latinx community, a lot of diversity in our student population. We have been sharing that learning experience with our support programs, such as the Spartan Scholars, the Los Altos Academy, and Los Altos High School Support. We've really been reaching out to ELD, and this year we've really started reaching out to Alta Vista, and we're hoping to support them more, and to our CTE programs. So just a reminder, peak our post-COVID model, because I'm hoping to very quickly ride through all the things we planned in our first month of school that we'll be doing this year, and hopefully that list will continue to grow. But you'll see this on each slide. So this slide represents some of the site visits we're either in the process of planning or have planned, and how many students they serve. This shows college trips we already have scheduled for our students. And one of our new partnerships is with San Francisco State University. And so we enhance the traditional college visit by having people come from different departments and talk about the careers that you could get to through those majors. So that's adding some more work-based learning to the typical visit. We have our educational volunteer opportunities. We have workshops. We have our panels, and we have our interviews scheduled. And more educational volunteer opportunities. And here we get into our mock career fair, which will be March 8th this year, if anyone's interested. Last year we had 30 companies and about 170 students attend. Very neat experience. Culminating with, what's important is what our students think and what they get out of it, right? And so at the end of a lot of our experiences, we have student surveys to get feedback. If there's something negative, obviously that'd be a growth, learning opportunity. Fortunately, we really haven't got, well, we do want to grow, but we have mostly gotten positive feedback. And just a couple examples, students said, I got to hear people's experience in life and things about careers, which made me think about what I want to do in the future. Exactly what we want our students to be doing after peak experience. A lot of people with good occupations grew up more educated locally, which gives me more motivation, which again speaks to being able to see people like yourself and realize, hey, I could do that too. Just a couple highlights. And then I want to highlight a specific student. You may have seen our peak logo on here, and Shaydel Guerrero created that logo for us at the beginning of the pandemic. We realized we did not have a logo and we would like one. And so to involve students, we had a competition and all of our AVID students competed, and this was our winning logo. So we thank her and appreciate her. And I had one thing. Did I talk to you very much about the career fair? Because it is a highlight. Did I mention that enough? You got it. Okay, great. Then that pretty much wraps it up. Thank you. And if you have any questions, answer them.
Could you share a little bit more about the EVOs that you mentioned, the volunteer opportunities?
Sure. Educational volunteer opportunities. It's actually a name we created with CSA, and we're in February and April, so during students break. And that's something I have not been able to find in other districts. Not that I've talked to every district, but it still seems to be unique to us, where we have the opportunities to volunteer with a community organization or a for-profit organization and really give students some hands-on experience and also some insight into what jobs are in an organization and how the people in that organization pursue the jobs. And often when they're speaking to that, they can talk about other pathways as well. So it's a really hands-on in-depth experience, and we're working on trying to develop more of those. Each one takes a bit of time, but they'll get faster over time. Thank you.
Are you bumping into any age restrictions with CSA as you try and collaborate with those folks? Because I know sometimes they're 16, right?
It is 16 and
Okay.
over, but we try to, the educational volunteer opportunities are most targeted at our grade 11, 12 students, so it fits pretty well.
Debbie, could you give us just a little overview? Like, you go on a visit to, say, LinkedIn. What is a typical visit like? Because I know that they have, I've seen some kind of clips before where there's LinkedIn or Google employees talking with our students, right? And what kind of a background do those students have, and what do they, I think they're more in line with our students, right? And giving them how they got there. I'll let you do it. I just was kind of wondering what is, because I love peak, and yeah, just.
So we do try, when we talk to an organization, we make it very clear that we want representation for our students, and the organizations seem to work really hard to do that. And so we do have people that tend to look like our students or have similar backgrounds. They may be first generation, they may have had obstacles to overcome, they may look similar, they might have similar language backgrounds, you know, different sorts of representation. And a typical visit would be, we arrive there, we might hear from a welcome speaker, and then perhaps we'll hear from a panel of employees representing different professions in the organization, so 4 or 5 employees. Then if the company has enough time, they might actually break out into groups, so students have a chance to rotate and talk individually, well, in small groups with individuals from the panel. Then optionally there's going to be a tour, and then hopefully lunch where there could be a more casual environment to talk to people in the organization, and optionally for students to get some of the fringe benefits of working in these organizations. It's a nice lunch.
From what I remember, I don't know if I saw a video of it in the past or whatever, but it's like you go, I mean, you're going to the company and you're meeting with people that that essentially came from the same background as you did, and they've made it to this level, which is a huge encouragement for students to think that if you could do it, I can do it, which I think is really important. And I commend you for setting this up, and thank you so much.
Well, and thank you for highlighting that. I mean, it really is the goal. We really try hard to make sure there is that connection when we visit. Thank you for that.
I think Phil may have a question.
Yes, thank you, Catherine. Thank you for an excellent presentation, and this, I was really impressed at how thorough and well organized the program is. My question, though, is you mentioned that we right now are the only high school with a peak program. Did I get that right?
As far as we know, yes.
Yeah, as far as we know. So do you have data that would compare the accomplishments of our AVID students in either finding employment or getting into and succeeding in a college or other educational program post high school, comparing the success of our students in those endeavors with the success of students from other AVID programs that do not have peak?
I would have to refer to our AVID team for that, because we don't have that kind of data on the peak level. That would be within the AVID level data about how well students do after graduation. So I could check in with Joy on that, perhaps.
You know, yeah, I'd appreciate that. I think that would be a great selling point for other schools to adopt a peak program like ours.
Okay, good idea. Thank you.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now I have the thrilling subject of unaudited actuals, financial report certification. Mike Matheson, would you like to take us through that?
Sorry, I just have to move and make sure the camera angle is correct for all tonight. And our Director of Fiscal Services, Elvis Lopez, is joining me up here to present those financials. So good evening and thank you. We are in the 22-23 school year, and yet the title of this slide is not an error. We are looking back at the 2021-2022 school year. And really, it's just a reminder, most of the times we're here presenting budget. Budget is forward-looking. It's like you're driving the car, looking out the windshield, the road ahead, what's on the horizon. And to continue the symbolism, this is a look back. So this is really looking in the rearview mirror, and we can't change it. We close the books June 30th. We spend the next month and a half fine-tuning all of it, looking at the different account streams, adjusting things we need to. And then this is what we submit to the board, and then goes to the County Office of Ed for oversight and review. And ultimately our auditors will come later this fall and take a look at it, and we'll come back in January with the outside audit. So that's what we're here to do. High level overview by design. A lot of the details are included in the board packet and linked there with the standardized account code structure, otherwise known as SACS forms, which laid out by object code, goals and all that stuff. So with that, I'm going to advance the slide and turn it over to Fiscal Director Elvis Lopez to take you through the end of the year numbers.
Good afternoon. This is a quick overview, like Mike said. Total revenues were $119 million, so well above our expenditures, which is great if you want to look at the positive side. The OPEB is what we contribute to post-employment for classified and uncertificated. This is one time, which is a continuous annual contribution. And you can see it's only contribution throughout. There's no cafeteria. We were at surplus this year of $500,000 in the cafeteria, so hopefully the state better pick it up, keeps on going. So that's the only contribution we had out. Increase of $1 million, both restricted and unrestricted. So these are combined. So here's the breakdown. 773,000. The carryover is that allocation money that both sides didn't spend. And some unused special encumbrances, which that means is we had looked at purchase orders and we kind of overstated some purchase orders. So now we want to take a look back this year and work with special a little bit closely on how to kind of close that gap and kind of have more accurate numbers. So when we budget, hopefully they're closer to the unaudited actuals. 354,000, again, it's COVID relief funds, state money and donations. So two different spectrums. This is the money that we can do whatever we need to do on the outside. This is more restricted to what the state tells us or the donation amounts tell us to.
And maybe it's just implied, but obviously this is good news. This is a positive to end the year with a surplus. Obviously, the goal is always to have a plan and spend to that plan. If you recall, there were some significant investments and expenditures the past year, a lot of one-time funds, but also a significant salary increase with our respective employee associations and non-represented groups. And even with that, we were able to come through the year in a positive fund balance and a slight increase to it with some of those numbers and explanations that was provided.
So can I just ask you one question on the restricted funding? Is there, is that carried over and we can still spend it, or is there a time limit on it?
No, there's this mostly you can carry over and spend it.
Just
a lot of the COVID funds we've already spent down.
Right.
And took because of the time restrictions. So a lot of this money kind of you can carry over and spend it at a later date.
So this, we can, as long as we keep it in restricted towards the funding that it was meant to be.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the short answer is yes, and it also depends. And so, yeah, like donations, which is a smaller amount of it, that's somebody donates, to the district variety of things. That's, I think, an obvious one.
I got it.
We keep track of all the state and federal money, especially with COVID funds and the deadlines. So, way back in 2020, there was some governor's emergency something relief gear for short, GEER. And so we're very conscious and spend the dollars that have the closest deadline. I don't say they expire first, but you know what I mean, right? Have a certain deadline. And then, so we're doing all of that behind the scenes. When we close the books, sometimes there is some adjustments after, which say, hey, we had three choices for where we could, what source of funds we could spend this out of. Maybe we decide to invest it and spend another one that's about to meet their deadline sooner. And then, like, we've shared, I know Ed Services and Terry fought the Educator Effectiveness Grant. So that's a little over $1 million, and there's 5 years, but now 4 years to spend that. So some of that shows up in the restricted carryover balance where we receive the money, but we know we're not going to spend it for a few years down the road.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Okay, I was going to talk about the reserve levels, and this is just, again, our standard slide for how we doing. Are we on track? Are we gaining ground towards our board adopted reserve levels? And again, this was a policy that was adopted 5 to 6 years ago now. So of course, we do meet the state required 3% minimum, and that's the top line. We are gaining progress towards the 2 months of operating expenditures, which is kind of a federal guideline for nonprofits and governmental organizations. Understand that every time these numbers go up, 17%, 2 months operating expenses also goes up. So it's this moving target where we keep moving the goalposts and we keep trying to catch up. But if I were to go back 5, 6 years ago and look at the actual dollar amount in those combined reserves, we've been making great gains at making sure we have those reserves as any prudent organization would have if there was economic dire straits. And then, of course, the other post-employment benefits, again, these are for local post-retirement benefits. Essentially for us, it's medical care for a certain number of years as outlined in our contracts. So there's a fund there to meet that commitment long term. So we have met and exceeded that at the moment. In prior years, we've been asked to share just taking a look at special ed, which is an important service we provide our students. And this isn't to look at the general fund contribution necessarily, I think, but to acknowledge the significant impact of funding or revenue from the state and federal government that doesn't increase in line with the expenditure increase. So this goes back 5 years. I think we took off 16, 17 to make room for last year, but you can see the increases. I really think the takeaway is more the revenue that we get hasn't been keeping up with the rate of expenditures that's needed to provide those very important services for our students, and the staff that go along with it, and the contracts, services that we provide. You know, the state has started to increase that per student allocation. So I want to give them credit for acknowledging that the funding hasn't been there. So as the state has had more dollars to put towards schools, they have increased the per student amount for special education funding. You can really see here the gap, and this is not unique to MVLA. This is true, you know, almost all school districts. Okay.
Mike, can you remind me, did the state give us COLA on special education dollars this year, or was that one of the buckets that did not get COLA?
I believe yes. Looking at Elvis, who thinks yes also?
I think yes, but it was very limited. It wasn't the full amount that we normally.
Oh, it wasn't transportation. It was, there was no sped transportation.
No.
Okay, all right, but sorry, that was the moving forward, not the looking back. Apologies, I just was.
Yeah, I think it's AB 602, Assembly Bill 602, which outlines how much money we get. And it's a convoluted mechanism that goes to the county office and then comes to us on a per student basis. But that has increased by COLA. But I do know sometimes the COLA apply to that cost of living adjustment, for those of you that we're not talking about Coca-Cola, right? And sorry, it's later and the jokes are bad. It's like my dad jokes, right? My kids are bad. Yeah. Stop me. Anyway, COLA. So sometimes the COLA increase you get on the local control funding formula, or LCFF, is larger, and there's different add-ons. And so what was, I think, happened to special ed might not have been the larger amount, right? Or the significant kind of one-time bump up that the LCFF got. So that's an overview of special ed, and really just comparing prior years to look at that trend. And then Elvis will just highlight adult ed real quick.
Adult education, revenue, actually, expenditures that I spent more this year because I had a prior year carryover of 282,000 I had spent. I want to give thanks to Julie to find a different way to spend that money. She actually spent 65,000, I want to say, to upgrade their Wi-Fi infrastructure over there. So we're finding ways. Thanks, Julie, for kind of getting this year and trying to figure out how to find ways on how to spend the carryover first. Because if not, we don't spend the carryover, the state comes back and says, well, we want the money back. So kudos for Julie on that. So they still have an ending fund balance of the increase. So the negative is just the carryover that there's overspent from last prior year.
Okay. And just to feature any questions on this, you know, for a while, adult ed was flat funding with the adult education block grant, which was challenging when other state sources of funds were getting an increase. And so it's been appreciated that in recent years, that adult ed block grant has gotten that increased percentage each year to keep up with some of those increased costs. And then, of course, we are looking back, and that's what's in the mirror behind us. But then we take this information, and these numbers now become starting point, or so these years' ending balances become the current year's beginning balance. And so when Alice and I are back here in December, beginning the first interim budget report, you'll see updated beginning balances. We also are already looking at our property tax revenue projections for the current year, and of course we get this from the county, so we've already gotten our first quarterly report from them, and I think I shared with you in one of my updates that's on track or trending as we budgeted. So that's a good news in terms of our budgeting and what that revenue will be. We are here at the beginning of September and work on reconcile our staffing levels, what we're projecting based upon student enrollment and need. And there's always changes here at the beginning of the year. The good news is we have a great HR department that helps, onboard new staff and we do have people, sometimes they leave at the beginning of the year or have situations which require them to take a leave of absence. Or, a new student comes and they need an initial support personnel, and so we need to get on board. And so, it might look a little bit odd, but there's still a lot of staffing adjustments that go on here, even throughout the year. And then it's also that time of year where we look at our medical benefit costs, which is not a key part of the prior slides, but what we're doing in the budget world and finance office right now is looking at those costs and incorporating that into our budget going forward for next year. That concludes our presentation. And we can, of course, take questions or other comments or accolades. And there is formal action to accept it, but I'll leave that for you guys.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Board, do we have any more questions? You guys ask them. Phil, out
No.
there? Do you have a question?
No questions.
No questions. Thank you for a very nice presentation.
thank you,
and
guys.
I like the tag teaming you did there. Very nice. So it's recommended that we certify the unaudited actuals. May I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Thank you, Phil.
I second.
Okay, second, moved and seconded that we certify the district's unaudited actual financial report for last year. Sadie? Papa? Board, all in favor, say aye. Aye. And there's no one to say, and no one else to say no, so that is a 4-0 plus our students. Thank you. Okay, now we have a resolution. Is Mike going to address this or? So it's just as written? So
Yeah,
really, there's
it's-
nothing else to say.
It's an annual function required by the state that goes back to Prop 13 and Paul Gann and the Gann limit.
Yeah.
So
Good old Gann. All right. I would entertain a motion to adopt this resolution.
I move that we adopt resolution 22/23-05, adoption of the GAN appropriations.
I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we adopt this resolution. Right, Cruz, Sadie, Ella? Board, all in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Well, we already knew there'd be none. So that's what we're supposed to do, right? And we do not need to resume, that's the end of our business portion. We don't need to resume closed session. So this is where I wanted to jump forward to before it skipped. Do we have board suggestions for future meetings? No. Do we have any?
I think one was going to be board goals, right?
Oh, yes.
Board goals.
I think that
Our board
the
goals,
administration already knows about this, but we might as well have it in the minutes that we would like to discuss our board goals soon. Because we're up for renewal, as you see on the board, it's 2017 to 2022, which means we're up for renewal pretty soon. So do we have any communications or correspondence? We do not at this time. We do not. The date and time of the next meeting will be this is not correct listed right here.
October 3rd.
It's actually October 3rd.
I have a question, apologies if this should go on a future board meeting, but did we want to cancel the October 24th meeting? Do we have to officially cancel that?
Consolidated.
Oh, understood. Thank you. Sorry about that. Thanks.
So just to remind the audience, the consolidated agenda included a canceling of the October 24th meeting. And instead, the board is going to the Teacher of the Year celebration for our teacher, Lauren. Camille, who has done such a great job and won other awards and so on too. And so we will go with all the other teachers from the other districts and celebrate.
And that's a return to our, the precedent that we had for years and years before.
Yeah. Used to do it that way. So the next meeting is October 3rd, and then after that will be November 14th and December 12th, and that will complete the year. So we don't need to do 21 because we didn't go in and out of open session. So we are now to adjournment. May I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn.
I approve.
Sadie and Ava. Okay, they approve. All right, board, all in favor, say aye.
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 Hi.
Aye. So we are adjourned at 8:25. Thank you all for coming.